Good day, engineer. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you will be learning a lot today. So this is the third part of Module 2. So this is more focused on starting the or conceptualizing how projects are made using Python. So I hope you already have the basic understanding of the programming concepts and the uh, uh, basic syntax on how to use the Python programming language. So after being able to solve how to solve basic problems, math problems, so we will build upon those knowledge to be able to uh, really start conceptualizing bigger projects, more useful projects than those basic math problems. So again, the outcome is the same. It's for you to create your own programs to solve basic programming problems. But of course, in preparation to creating your own uh, more realistic or more real world projects. So the learning outcome for this specific lecture is for us to be able to handle data and files. It can be external files or data that we have collected, we have created, and where we want is to store it in a file format. So here we will be talking about packages, modules, and imports. Then we'll have a brief introduction of the common Python standard library, and we'll focus more on file handling with a demonstration on how to code using basic Python, uh, using basic Python. Okay, so let's proceed on this one. So we have different terminologies, no? But our goal here is not to memorize these terminologies, but to have this analogy on how Python is working. So if you're going to create a project or even a program, so you can think of your own desk. No, you have this study table or you have this study area. Everything outside your study area is unknown. No? Anything that is not on top of your table is unusable. And of course, the opposite is the same. Anything that is on top of your table or your desk are the only things which you can use in your project or program. And that desk is called as a Python namespace. It is a virtual container containing all known identifiers which you can use in your program. So when starting a project, 'di ba? In your practice, so you basically find a folder. For example, I want to store it in uh, engineering, then ISAI 126 folder, midterm folder, then and so on. No? So basically, you put your folder on your namespace, no? Then you create a new file. So basically, we can have an analogy that your file is just like a paper. The longer your program, no, you can add more papers. You can add more lines. So basically, we call the code that you have been writing as your source code. So a source code is any program that you have written, no, in any programming language. But when we talk about source code here, we're talking about the Python programming code, no, that you have written already or you will be writing. So again, it is a program in textual form. So we also have this term, a module. No, it is any Python file. any Python source code is considered as a module. Diba? A module is basically is just a, if you're going to think about a Lego set, no? It's one Lego set, I mean Lego item, no? One Lego can be connected into multiple other Legos to create a bigger object, no? Same with Python, multiple modules can be connected together. So, just wait for a while. So, let me share again my screen. So again, also basically a module. So a single module is just like a puzzle piece that can assemble together to create a bigger program. So I guess my internet is slowing down for a while. Let me fix that first. Okay. Okay. So let's continue. For a while. So maybe let me stop sharing first. And let me share again Python projects. It's not yet visible on my end. So let's wait for a while. Check first. If you can remember, if we have the main function, we can also have the main program. So basically, the main program is the entry point. It's the very first program that you'll be running, and Python will just call whatever modules that you have used to extend your program. So again, it is the Python file that will be executed in the command line. So basically, any programs that you will be running manually is called the main program. So if you have a bigger project, no? So the main program is like your first page of your document. So it is the entry point of the whole sets of programs. So it can be the title page or whatever, the table of contents and so on. But it is the first page that will be executed or being read. Okay. Then here comes the more complex part. No. So you can actually create multiple folders. No, diba, we are accustomed to using Google Colab, but on bigger projects, so typically we create multiple folders to group common modules together. Diba? Are you familiar with OC, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD? So basically, in programming, we need to sort or organize programs that are common in nature. For example, if we have the set of codes that is focused on solving this specific problem, so that's one folder. Then if this another set of programs is focused on connecting to the internet, then we'll organize it on another folder. So the folder that we create and where we place our other programs in Python, we call that as a package. And for Python to know that is a valid package, you need to create a file, not a special file called as this init file. Now, basically, that's underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. So that will help Python now identify that this specific folders contains different modules that you can reuse in your program. So anyway, we'll have an example later on. So next thing is library. No, if you have a if you already have a lot of packages, diba? Example, you have created multiple folders already, and you want to group those specific folder into a bigger folder. Then you can basically that becomes a library. So a library is just a folder containing related packages. So of course, that specific library should be performing common tasks, common procedures, common operations. So basically, real projects, no, a big project, a big Python project is basically it's just a desk, no, containing folders, boxes, papers, no, in analogy. So we can say that a software, a Python program is just a bundle of multiple files, programs, folders, and other libraries that allows it to run, no, successfully. So again, no, if a thing is not on top of your desk, you cannot use it, you cannot call it. So to be able to use that specific program, in Python, you need to place it on your desk. So this is an example of a project repository. So a very simple one. So you create the folder with the name of your project, and you have your main program. However, this word main, no, can be changed, no, depending on the context of your project. So this is just the generic naming convention, the generic setup, no, and inside that project, you can create multiple packages, and inside that package, you should have this init.py folder, and you can have one or more modules or Python programs. So here is a more specific example. So example, your project is an inventory system, no, of materials in the warehouse. So you have this utility package and you have this system.py as your main program. So the code inside system.py will call the utility package to be able to use this inventory.py program. So anyway, no? So this is just an overview. Again, when you create bigger projects, no, you will further learn how to use these things when you really create your own projects. Because if you're just going to look at the picture, it would be very different to really grasp the idea. So after this one, no, we will have a simple example on how to create a simple project repository. So for example, if you're dealing with image classification, so you might have a different uh, hierarchy of your project, your package, and your modules, and so on. So basically, your init.py file can contain 0 or more lines. So it's very simple simple example, it can be an empty file. However, if you become more experienced in Python, no, you can really make most of this init.py. So it's like a uh, how do you say that? Uh, a simplified way of keeping things faster, no, keeping things cleaner in Python. So let's skip to that first, no, and let's jump into uh, the import keyword. So again, as I have said earlier, you cannot use a library, you cannot use a package, you cannot use a module if you do not import it into your program, into your desk. So that's why, no, we need to understand these different ways of importing. So first is if you want to import a library, just call it import and the name of the library. If you want to import a package, a specific package from no, you can just call import package. However, it would be more efficient if you only call a specific module inside the package. Diba? For example, in your bag, if your teacher would say, get 1/4, 1/4 sheet of paper, what are you going to do? Diba? You will only get your yellow pad, no, and get 1/4 sheet. So you would not get your laptop, your mouse, your cell phone, your whatever, no. This specific command from package import module is just an efficient way to call, no, or to use the specific things that you want to use. A very more specific one is this one. From package.module, import the specific function that we want to use. Diba? It's more specific. So basically, package are very generic programs, no? And most of the times, we will be only using specific programs, specific functions, no? So that's why it is very important to use this from package that module import function or this from package import module instead of importing everything. Because, diba, imagine if you're going to put a lot of things on your desk, it will be very messy. It will be heavy for you. Your you will reach a cognitive overload. So that's the same with programs. It will take a toll on your processing speed if you're going to put everything on your table. So to keep everything organized, you only call the things that you will be using in your program. So anyway, we'll have examples in our future videos on how to import these things. So just a reminder, no, we will place these import keywords, these from keywords at the very top of our program. So mag-start ta sa line 1, we start with line 1 and so on. And whatever template, whatever code that we will be using will be placed subsequently. So anyway, in our future videos, I will be telling you, no, some tips on how to make your uh, program more Pythonic, more readable, more clean, no, more understandable. Okay. So before I continue with the Python standard library, so let's create a simple project repository first. So, uh, okay, so let me open my command prompt for a while. So let me present my command prompt. So let me show you my command prompt. So, diba? So this is command prompt, and let's go back to disk C. So let's assume that we will be creating a project. No, so let's go to my projects folder. And we'll be creating, for example, a simple project, let's say a weather. Okay, let's use this weather app. No, so basically that will create a folder. No, that is called as a weather app. Then let's go inside the weather app folder, weather app. So now that we are inside the weather app folder, so let's create our main function. So let's make it simple. Let's just call it as uh, weather.py. So basically this command, no, if you're going to use Python, so type space NUL or null, then a greater than symbol. So again, when you see a greater than symbol, it's like passing data. So when you say type null, you're passing an empty value into this new file called as a weather.py. So it will create an empty folder, an empty file. So later on, let's check no kung unsay content, but let us first complete the whole repository. So let's create a folder. So this package is called say uh, backend. So this is a folder. Then let's go inside the backend folder. Okay, sir, I'm very confused already. So again, don't focus yet on what I am doing. No, what I am doing is just creating the repository. So later on, let's check it on the folder. So next is we create the init file. So again, this specific file will tell Python that backend is a package. Diba? Package is a folder that contains multiple module. Oh no. So let's add. Okay. Then let's create another module type null. So let's say uh, whether whether appy. Then let's open, sorry, let's open start. So, let me transfer my screen. So, so as you can see here, diba, we've created the main program that's weather.py. So I just hid the extension, but as you can see, it's the type is .py, no? And we have this package. So what's inside our package? So it's the init file and the specific modules. So let's zoom that in. Now we have two files that we have created. So let me open this weather.py. So let me transfer again my presentation to that Notepad++ folder. So this is our weather.py. Diba? So, okay, let's create first no our def main colon, then let's type pass here for now. Then if name equals main. So again, please don't confuse yourself. When you're going to see this one, it just tells your computer, tells Python, that this program will only run if you have run it manually. So if you click that play button, or if you run Python space the file name. So again, this is the template, and we will import the package folder. So we can do this, import space. So what's the name of the folder again? That's backend, import backend. So basically, when you're going to run this program, no, let me run it first, Python space weather. So let me share you my screen. Command prompt. So again, so that template code, nothing would be happening on the perspective of the user. So let's try to open the weather API file. So send something else, weather API. Okay, so this is our weather. This is our weather.py, and this is our weather API. So let's create more functions here. So for example, this is for the purpose now of creating functions and also calling functions using the import keyword. So let's say sunny function. So basically what it does is it will print today is warm and humid. Then we have, let's create more. So this would be windy. This is cloudy. Let me swap these things. And this is rainy. So for cloudy, today is gloomy. Then for windy, today is cold. For rainy, today is raining. So let's save this one. So again, basically, we have functions located on another file, and we want this to be called on the main function. So what is the name of our main function? So that is weather.py. So again, depending on the context of your problem, depending on your goal, you can modify the name of your main.py file. So I already saved this one, weather API module, and let's use this in our program. No, again, since our goal is to display everything, we can just import backend. But again, to make it more efficient, so let's use from backend. See, import sunny. Then, as you can see here, sunny is a function. And for this one, from backend import sunny. So as you can see, wala parentheses. So there is no parentheses. So basically, we are just calling its identifier. However, if we are going to call the program, so we'll add the parentheses. So, kana siya, import Sunny. So, let's try to run our code. So, what do you, so, and Sunny, uh, modify that first. So, then let me share. So, this actually and I'm not sure that is okay. Then all of your import, you have to line start here. So whether happy import so percent like command prompt. I thought that Sunny prints today is warm and humid. So you can import multiple functions, identifiers, no? Using a comma. So let's go back to our code. So let's try windy. No, windy. However, let's integrate our knowledge into basic Python programming. So let's just import everything for now. So import everything from backend, import weather API. So let's ask the user for the weather equals input. uh, what is the weather? Oops, weather today? No. So let's use conditions. So let us convert this to lower. That lower. So whatever is the input of the user, so it will be converted to lowercase. So if weather equals sunny, so that's can actually do this one. So this is an example of object-oriented. So as you can see, backend is an object, and inside backend it contains a weather API. Then weather API is also an object, and weather API contains the sunny function. Okay, but let's not focus on that yet. So elif, we'll just copy everything. No? Okay. So if weather is cloudy, so weather that happy cloudy. Weather is windy, so that's weather happy that windy. If rainy, that's weather happy that rainy. So else print. So let's use F string. So the weather is invalid. So let's try to run this program. I'm very excited, no? So if this will gonna work. So let me transfer to my command prompt. So Python weather.py. So it will be asking, what is the weather today? So look outside your window. So for here, it's cloudy. So it will say today is gloomy. So let me fix the code. So I don't like how it is displayed. So let's run the code again. So Python weather.py. Example, today is sunny. So it will display today is warm and humid. So that is the example of using and also creating packages and modules. So uh, actually not this simple example of weather API. It's just uh, an introduction, an overview of what projects will look like if it is an actual program. So of course, the context, the code, no, the size of the files and so on will be different if it is going to be a real program. Okay, so let's proceed. Let me proceed to our slides. So Python's standard library. So if we're going to talk about standard library, so it is a part, no? If you're going to install Python, it is already part of your installation. So once you install Python, it will allow you as the programmer to use specialized modules to perform specific operations. Because again, the goal of Python is to make our life easier, make our coding faster. So instead of doing everything from scratch, so we can just actually call, no, the standard library, the packages, the modules, and really speed up our coding processes. Okay? So for example, if we want to get the current time, so we have this time module that is built in with Python. You don't need to you don't need to use the internet. As long as you already installed Python, you can always use these modules inside the Python standard library. So for example, for this one, so we have the Unix timestamp. What is Unix timestamp? So basically, this is the total number of seconds that elapsed since this time. So what is so special with January 1, 1970? Diba? If the agreed, no, the widely agreed birth of Jesus, no, is about 2,000 years ago, or 2020 plus or minus 2025, no? However, engineers, no? So when the first computers came out commercially, no, because computers before are not available for use by ordinary people. So, but when it is commercially produced, no, they decided that the starting point, no, the starting point to count the seconds, no, for computers is this date, January 1, 1970, midnight. So basically, this is the release, no, of the uh, commercial computers. So around this time, no. So again, if you want to get the current time, no, you use the time module. So basically, let's just copy this code. It's very straightforward. Uh, okay, so maybe I'll just use uh, Google Colab for this one. So let's go back. So CMD for a while. So Python, Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so that one. So let's create a new file. So basically, this would be our practice, or let's call this standard lib. Let's capitalize that one. So let's paste our code there. So again, beware of pasting codes from PDF. No, again, Python is very strict with tabbing. No, it must be consistent. Then one good practice is in Python, if you're going to develop your programs using notebooks or Google Colab, is to separate your import with your actual running codes. So what's the benefit of this one? Diba? They are in different cells. This one, let's move this one to another. Right. Now, okay. As you can see here, we have separated it in another cell. So the benefit of this one, so that when you run this code, you don't need to run it again and again, because this import keyword, import instruction can be very heavy. So as you can remember, when running notebooks, you need to only import once, no, during your execution. So kana siya, it's already been run. So and our next step is to compile, I mean to run our function. That is our main function. And let's try to run this one. What's happening? Okay. Again, this is only for uh, command prompt. So let's try to run this one. Where is it? Okay. Do that. Forgot the print timestamp. We run this again and run this again. Okay. It's truly universal, no? We just forgot the print statement. So this is the total number of seconds that elapsed since January 1, 1970 and 1970 midnight. So, kailan naman siya? That's hundreds, thousands, millions. So this is 1,761,295,907 seconds. And if you keep this, if you keep on running this one, so it will increase. No? So this is the milliseconds. I guess this is the milliseconds. Or the second itself. No, this is the seconds. Okay, let's move on for a while. Let's go back here. So we have the datetime module. So if I'm going to ask you, when should we use time and when should we use datetime module? So of course, we should keep it lean as possible. If our program only needs to know the time, then we use the time module. If we want to use date, we use the date time module. So these are just the simple codes, no, but again, no, internet is our friend. So later on I will teach you how, no, how do we do coding as programmers. So we are not the people that you might think about, no, nga, nerds or uh, evil villains, hackers. So we still need the internet to work. So let's call this as get timestamp. So, and to run that, no, we'll call this as one, as two, this one, is one. We've omitted the main function. So for this setup, so let's run this code again. So since we have added a new line, so let's run that again. So from the datetime package, we import the datetime module. So you can see in this function, we created the def get timestamp 2. So since it should be unique, so kani siya get timestamp 1 using the time module, and this one is for the datetime module. So kana siya, no? So for this one, we are casting the datetime that now into an integer. Then we get the timestamp. Or maybe it's inverted. Should be this one. So let's try to run our code first. As you can see, two ways of getting the timestamp using different modules. However, let's have a more complex example. No? I mean, it's not complex. So first, let's get the date first. Oh, sorry. No. Get current date. So basically, we'll just print this one directly. Get current date. And let's comment this out. No, our goal is just this one. So get current date. So what will be the output? Get current date is not defined. Okay. After editing the cell, so run it again. And let's run this again. So we'll have this very generic date. No, that's 2025, October 24, 16, that's 4 p.m. 56. So as programmers, we want to customize this one based on our needs. No? What are our needs? So let's go back into the slides. So let's use this special string formatted time function so that we can stylize how we display our date and time. No? Using these special ISO codes. So when we say ISO, this is our standardized codes. No? For example, percent capital Y. So let's zoom that in. Percent capital Y. So that's the full year, 2025. Percent small m. So that's the month. No? Percent D. That's the date. I is the I is the international hour, and so on. No? So let's try to go over this website. So this contains what's happening. So basically this contains all of the ISO codes that you can play around. No? There is a definition and a list of the ISO codes that you can use. Then you can play around with this one so that you can improve your expertise on these uh, customized dates. So, okay. So let's try to customize our date. So let's just duplicate this one. Then get customized date. Then that's dt that strf time, and let's say type is the formatting. So what do you call this one? So in function, this is called as a parameter. No, we supply the parameter, we use the parameter, and here let's comment this out. Oops. Oops. So let's use this one instead. Now, what if we want? Now let's try different combination. So let's say, what would be the full month? So ito siya, month. Oops. Month. The full month. So that's percent B. So kana siya. Percent B. Then the date is percent D, comma, then the full year, percent Y. So let's run this code first. So again, let's run this part before we continue running on this one. So that's October 24, 2025. So if we want oct only, or the abbreviation of the month, so that's a small b. So let's reverse this one. No? Delete percent %b. So let's try to run the code. So kana siya. No, depending on our needs, on how we code. So you can fully customize that. Let's have other. How about the week? So let's search for the week. Week. That's percent %a, the small a. So let's try. Now that's percent %a. But it's Friday. So I am recording this video on October 24, Friday. And let's have the hour. No? So that's, so if you want the time for the hour, so we have two options, no? If the military time, that's 24 hours, so we use percentage. We want the normal hour, the 12-hour clock, so that we use I. So let's try percent I, then the minutes. So what is the code for the minutes? Control F, minute. So that's capital M. Capital M. So we don't mind the seconds for this one, then we'll use percent %P for the AM and PM. So upon the recording of this video, so the time and the date and time is October 24, 2025, Friday, 5:02 p.m. So again, you have the resource. Now you can explore how to use these codes and implement it in your projects. Okay, let's proceed on other codes, no? Okay, so let's have this random module. So what's the importance of this random module? So basically, if you want randomness, so again from the word pseudo, so it's not true random. So there is a mathematical uh, formula, mathematical calculation happening underneath, no, to generate these random numbers. So let's import the random module. So let me go back here. So again, where to import the import the standard library and packages. So it's on the topmost part of our program. Import random. So again, if you're editing the cell, run that cell again. And let's add the generate random int. So print random.rand int. So siya. So run the cell again. If you're editing something inside it, then let's update this part. Let's try to run the code if it's correct. Oops. Random run AV. Oh, okay. For a while. Let me check the run int. I think it requires, no, based on the code, the minimum and the maximum. So the boundary. So let's go back here. So let's say A, B, make this dynamic, no? A, B. So here, let's call this tries, no? For example, can we, this one, numbers between 1 to 5. This one is, uh, let's say 1 to 50. And this one is 1 to 100. So of course, there is a mathematical computations running underneath. And every time you keep on running this program, it will generate different results. Run this again, run this again. Okay. As you can see, it's calling the same function, but it's generating different results. Let's run this again. Diba? Every time you run the program, different values will display. Even if we duplicate this one, no? So, tigduha-duha sila for 1 to 5. And you can supply any number as long as on the left side is the minimum and on the right side is the maximum. Because you can see here, it's between 1 to 5, and it's at different values. For this one, it's 1 to 50, different values. For this one, 1 to 100, different values. So, maybe we'll just continue first, no? So we also have the math modules, math module which provides you with the access to more mathematical functions. So it contains number theoretic and representation functions, power and logarithmic, trigonometric, hyperbolic, angular conversions, and constants. You can see here, converting degrees to radians and radians to degrees. Now here, and this one is formatting numbers. That's a colon that whatever the precision that you want. So different uses of math modules. There are different ways of rounding numbers. So depending on the needs of your program. So for example, for a number, what would be the best rounding, no, for that number? For example, the passing is 75 and your grade is 74.21. So what rounding function would you want? Is it math.floor or math.ceil? So let's try to run this code. So of course, for the benefit of the student, diba, we want our grade to be passing. So let's import math. So run that part and let's create more functions. Then get grade, get final grade. Then math.seal grade. Then math.flow boy. Okay, I'm back. So where was I? So going back in our code, now we have this grade 1 equals math.seal. So basically what it does is whatever is the value, as long as it is greater, no, it's greater than 0.0, it will round up to the next whole number. However, with math.floor, so any value, no, that is less than the next number, it will round down, no, to the current number where it is in. So let's print this one f. So round up. So that's grade 1. Then round down. It's grade 2. So let's run this again. And let's run this code. So you can see if you have a grade, no, 74 point something below 74.5 or maybe 74.99. So I would tell, sir, paki-round up naman. So use math.seal. So kana siya. So depending on the context of your project, so there are benefits for these things, no? Seal and floor. Okay? So let's move on to other examples. So that's math.pow for power, math.square root, SQRT, math.cube root, CBRT, math.log for getting the natural logarithm of the value, the number, and so on. Getting the logarithm of a number given the base, constants, so pi, and so on. No, mga trigonometric functions, statistics. So we have uh, uh, we have average, no, the mean, the max. So we have the variance, standard deviation, and so on. You can even perform linear regression using the statistics module. Okay, so let me pause there first. I will be having a different video on this one. So thank you so much for your listening. So this would be the part 1 of the module 2.3. Okay, thank you so much and goodbye. Bye. Stop recording.